Hi, welcome back. I'm now going to do the tarot for the full moon and to see where that goes and how that takes us forward. So just bear with me as I start to shuffle. I'm using the Illuminati. It's one of my favorites and it was given to me, I think 3 years ago for a really good friend of mine. So if someone gives you some tarot cards or crystals or something like that, it's a lovely gesture. So let's see what the cards have got to. Ooh, and then jumping around. Oh. All right. So we open up with the Empress. So that's very, very nice. Oh, we've got them all going in. Come on. The Empress is about divine feminine and going forward. Oof. We get the Two of Swords with a full moon. So we are talking about choices. And unfortunately with the Two of Swords, we're talking about choices that we don't feel comfortable to make. Ten of Cups. What makes us happy? How do we define happiness? Cards are jumping. Star card. All right, I'll just check in to see if I should be getting out some more cards. All right, they've said yes, please. So let's go. When I said there, you know I'm talking about guides, spirit guides. Oh, also talking about Four of Wands. Okay, and they've just said Four of Wands. The way forward, which what we were talking about before, that was the message from them. And the Nine of Pentacles, which is talking about us being very happy and feeling very secure. I'm just trying to get the light right so you can see how beautiful she is. Two cards might be better. Two hands, sorry. Okay. So there it is, very regal with the falcon, ancient Chinese, and the falcon is a not just a hunting bird, but it's known for having an aerial viewpoint. And a very precise aerial viewpoint. All right, so let's see what else. Okay, and then we get the King of Swords upside down. All right, so let's have a look at what that says. I think that's enough for us. Oh, and Three of Cups. All right. So this is talking about being with people, feeling a lot lighter about life, celebrating an element of being enthusiastic about what's there, partying. So this is the environment we're moving into. So this is the energy that's going to, if you like, it's going to be the environmental energy for the next week, 10 days, following the beautiful full moon at 0 degrees. All right. So we start up with the divine feminine of the Empress, because she's got, you can see on her heart shaped lyre, she's got the symbolism there. So the Empress is talking about the divine feminine, is talking about being aware of who we are, understanding who we are, but understanding who we are at a deep level, and then being really comfortable with that and using all our skills to take ourselves forward. So that's the Empress. We then move into the Two of Swords. It's there, it's got the full moon. We've got the water around us, which is interesting because Swords is about thoughts, water is about emotions. But what I want to do with the Two of Swords, because it's saying there's a choice we don't know how to make, but literally, she's also blindfolded, you can probably just see there. If we actually put down one of those swords and made a choice, we could easily remove the blindfold. So sometimes when you don't know how to decision, the best way to make a decision or to go forward is to make a decision. Just make a decision. Just make a choice. If you don't like that choice, as long as you haven't gone too far down the path, you can always make that change. And what they're asking you to do when you're thinking about that choice to go forward is the Ten of Cups. Now the Ten of Cups is the happy ever after card. Dogs have decided to do it again. But the happy ever after card is also for us to define the happy ever after card. Yeah? And remember when I talked about zero and the cusp, where we've ended something and we haven't started something yet. And all we've got is these opportunities, and that allows us to redefine what our happy ever after is. And there are choices about that. And it's a difficult choice sometimes if we're not already fully aware, and a lot of us aren't, and it does change over time, those things that will make us satisfied or unsatisfied. So this is having a look at how we define ourselves, how we define happiness, and how we define family. And in some instances, because it's multi-generational, it's also having to think about how we define our legacy for those who come after us and how that sits with us. So there's some choices to be made about all of that. But the Emperor is saying, trust yourself emotionally, trust your instincts. Now, we often talk about the term resonate and what does that mean? How do we know if something's resonating with us? Because it's a little bit, if you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust this emotional change that you're going through, and you feel like you're not trusting your decision making, one of the things about the word resonate is that you feel it inside. It just feels right. It doesn't feel too light. It doesn't feel too heavy. It actually feels like sometimes a little bit of a release. But it's like, and you can feel the tension ease out of yourself. So it should, if it resonates, and I know this sounds a little bit silly, but if it resonates, yeah, you will get a vibration with it, but you will also get a stillness. And that's when you know that something is resonating with you, because it rings true, it rings right. And she's saying to trust what resonates with you about your decision making in the future. What follows on from that, which is really interesting, is you get the Star card, which is the wish card. And you can see that there's one big star that's been highlighted. The other nice thing about this is it is the water, well, it is the water bearer, but it's also balanced, so it is the card of Aquarian, but it's also balanced, and the sun is moving into Libra, and Libra is also about balance. So this is quite interesting in terms of the balance, and we've got the 2 there. But it is also a wish card, so it combines those elements of the 9 of Cups for the wish card and the balancing, so which is basically the 4 of Cups as well. So this is saying to you, there is opportunities, and these opportunities have been divinely guided. And of course, the wish card comes after the Devil and the Tarot, and we had the Tarot last time. So the Tower last time. We had the Tarot last time. Last time in the Tarot, we had the Tower. So now what we're looking at is the wish card coming to you. So something is being granted, something is being highlighted, and that is the path that you need to be going on. And remember, sometimes new paths are scary. So even while it's being presented to us, we mightn't feel comfortable in taking that. And we did talk about the 0 degrees, the opportunities. So there's multiple opportunities. So sometimes we're unsure about which one to take with us. Okay, after that we've got the 4 of Wands. And the 4 of Wands is very beautiful. And it's about partnerships and mirroring. And we have talked about the values underneath being reflected in the values above, as in the values that we're now demonstrating to the world around us. So we're clearly being guided to go down the path where our values are aligned, yeah, and where we perceive that if we can be somewhere where our values are aligned, we will feel happiness and we will feel valued around that. And this is why sometimes we might be redefining what our happy ever after card is, because at different stages in our lives, as we complete different elements of our life, as we take on different challenges and we master them, we master new skills, or we complete a couple of years at a job and we feel like we've learned everything there is to learn, then it is time perhaps for us to move on. And that's when we're getting this thing about making a choice about where to go. All right. Now, what's reassuring about the choices, we've got these two other cards that are coming up that I'm going to do together, which they're very interesting. And this is about the Nine of Pentacles. So we are talking, a 9 is a good card. It's like it's a bit, even the Nine of Pentacles is a little bit but the wish card. So things are coming true. It is, again, in this instance, we are talking about the physical plane. So we're talking about things coming together for us in the physical plane. The physical plane, which is Uranus and Taurus, is talking about changes around how we live, where we live, what we do for a living, how we present ourselves, and how we manage our money, and all of those relationships. So there is a change coming up about that. Interestingly enough, we've got the King, I'll just put it this way so you can see. It's the King of Swords. Now, swords in the tarot is thoughts, and is upside down. So the King of Swords is the master of our thought process and the management of our thought process. Now, what's interesting about this is the two cards that talk about our thought processes. King is upside down, it's normally quite positive, and we've got the 2. So what we're looking at here is if you only rely on your thoughts, you are not going to get too far. Yeah. So normally a lot of decisions we make, we need to make sure that we're using our thoughts and we are working with our thoughts this way up. When it's up this way with the King, what that means, and this is also when we're talking about, I brought in Jupiter when in the other video, which is talking about astrology. Sometimes we can get a little bit too focused on I. We can get a little bit too opinionated about what our thoughts are and how strong they are, and what we should be doing to manage and maintain those thoughts. Yeah. So this is just something to be aware of. Don't get too caught up in your own thoughts. Don't get too adamant about the path, the correct, I'm right, this is the way it should be going. Because at the moment still there's that little bit of turbulence, and our thought process could be changing because we are going to be in 0, right? So 0 is a little bit of freedom. So just be a little bit open to what's coming. And if you find yourself feeling or being, there's a difference between being strong and focused and being resolute in your direction you're going and your thoughts and your opinions, to being opinionated. And opinionated means that we've actually moved a little bit to the arrogant, and we've moved beyond being influenced by those around us. So it's asking us to have a think about our thought processes and not to get too bogged down. So there you are. The promises are there. So there's definite opportunities about where we're going. Oops, if I can hold them up straight so you can see. Star card and the 9 of Pentacles, talking about earthly matters. We've got the 10 of Cups, happy ever after. So we're also having a think about what will make us happy. How do we define ourselves? How do we define our values? And we are talking about the 4, so we're talking about mirroring ourselves. And when we mirror ourselves in terms of our values beneath and our values outside, there's a lot to be gained in this direction. Remember, Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion, is active at the moment because it is sitting there in Sagittarius. So it's also very highlighted, and it will reward us if we are aligned. Okay, and it's just moved into Sagittarius. So remember, when planets first move, there's a lot of activities, a lot of energy until they settle down and we get used to those energies and that movement, and we start to feel comfortable, so it's still moving. Okay, so trust yourself for the decision making. Full moon, it's coming up. There will be some things highlighted. You might not feel you're in a position to make that decision, but you are. So make the decision. Don't spend too much time in your head agonizing over it, because your thinking is not going to take you there. It's about what's in your heart. It's about your instincts. And just as I said that, love my neighbours. And I do love my neighbours very much. It's just that one of those little dogs, he's got a high bark.